Hi, I'm Emily and welcome to Chair Yoga. For today, go ahead and find a block or something that would work. It could be books, it could be like a really low stool, something that we're going to have out in front of us, and we'll put our feet one at a time on it just in a little bit. Make sure you have your chair, of course. Try to have one without any sides on it. And as you come to sit, make sure that you're sitting up in front of the chair enough. I'll turn to the side, as I usually do, just to give you the visual of the knees coming pretty much right over the ankles, the shoulders stacking over the hips. You want the head to stack over the shoulders. You want to be able to put the whole foot down on the ground. So you might need to scoot forward to find that. And try to take some of this rounding out of the low back. See if you can tilt your pelvis a little forward. The belly button's coming a little bit towards the thighs. But you want to find your natural curve without overextending too much. So go ahead and take note of all those points. The feet firmly planted on the ground. Knees about over the ankles, shoulders stacked over the hips, head right on top of shoulders. Press the back of the skull lightly back to find some length in the back of the neck. Take a little sigh. You might close the eyes or soften the gaze, maybe looking down at the ground in front of you. Take any last little small movements that you need here to settle in. Know that we'll move quite a bit more soon enough. And for right now, can you encourage the body to be still? To lightly discourage any fidgeting. It's okay if it happens, but notice if it's starting to creep up on you. You feel like you want to wiggle the fingers. Can you keep them resting? And as you become more still, you can become more aware. It can be easier to focus and notice really small things. That might be the small sensation of your feet on the ground, or the breath moving in and out of the body. Maybe it's a small sensation about how the mind or the emotions are for you right now. Take this check in, this scan, so you can notice and you can compare at the end to how you feel. Anything has shifted. And then we'll take a couple circles of the torso. You can pretend like you're trying to paint or draw circles on the ceiling. It can start out really small. You can keep the eyes closed here. Just starting to go in one direction, maybe spiral out a little, circles get a little bigger. Maybe you shift really far onto one seat and one foot. You can use the hands on the lap in any way that feels supportive. You might scoop the chest a little forward as you come forward and as you sit back, round in. Take another couple of circles in this direction, maybe letting the chin come into the chest as you come back, rolling the neck a little side to side. And start to spiral slowly back into smaller circles until you're still all the way upright. And then start to make your circles the other direction, starting out pretty small and then spiraling out, getting a little bigger, adding any tilt or tuck of the tail, any opening across the heart, any movement of the neck and the head. Beautiful. Spiral your way back into the center, coming back in, sitting up nice and tall. You might start to open the eyes now, blinking them open, maybe a little smile. And inhale, sweep the arms out to the side. Get really tall. Reach the hands up and overhead. You might clasp the hands at the top. Press the palms up to the sky. So flip the hands. It could be a softening of the shoulders down the back. Pressing the palms up. Maybe spinning the thumb a little further up to the sky. Great. You could keep this clasp of the hands. If this isn't feeling great, go ahead and hold on to your left forearm with your right hand. Reach the left arm up a little higher and then start to lean over to the right. So you could be doing that with the hold on the forearm or maybe the clasp and press of the palms out and away. A couple breaths here. You might rest the head on the right upper arm somewhere. Really press down into your left sit bone. Reach up through left fingers. Maybe give them a little wiggle. Breathe into the left side of ribs. Beautiful. One more big breath in here. Inhale, reach the hands back up, either keeping the interlace of the fingers or holding on to the right forearm with the left hand. Reach it up. Start to turn the thumb back behind you so the palm is facing over to the left as you start to tip over towards the left side now. Maybe letting the head rest on the left arm. Press into the right sit bone. Probably wants to lift up just a little bit. Reach out through the broad right side of ribs. Nice. Inhale here. Inhale, make your way back up to center. Reach both arms up overhead. Exhale, stretch them out to the sides. Nice. Inhale, reach them up out to the sides. Maybe you look up. Maybe you open the heart just a little, bending the back. Exhale, hands come to the lap. Start to fold over the legs. It can be a nice, small, gentle forward fold here to start. Maybe you rest the forearms on the legs. Maybe you sway just a little bit side to side. Roll the head. And some, as they start to warm up a little bit, they might walk their hands out a little bit further down the legs, maybe their elbows, maybe their hands come down to the shins. Maybe you find whatever you're going to use as your blocker support and place that underneath the hands and you fold over. Take a couple breaths here, round it in. And soften the shoulders away from the ears. Maybe you can let the low belly rest a little easier on the legs. Maybe even the chest a little. One more exhale. And you'll start to walk the hands back up the legs, come all the way to sit up. We'll do a couple rounds of half sun salutation. So inhale, sweep the arms up overhead. Exhale, hands can reach out to the sides or down through the middle, folding over the legs, a little bit smaller maybe. You could always do this standing as well. Inhale, lift the chest, reach the heart forward, your halfway lift. Exhale, round the back again, fold in. Inhale, press into the feet, come all the way up, reach the arms back up. And then we'll come down right away. I'm going to turn to the side so you can see all of that in case you're curious about some of the movements. Folding over. Inhale, press into the feet, lift the heart halfway. Exhale, round back in. Inhale, press into the feet, come all the way up. Reach the arms up and overhead again. And we'll come right back down again. Exhale, fold over the legs. Inhale, lifting halfway. Exhale, round the spine, fold back in. Inhale, press into the feet, reach the arms up. Exhale the hands back down into the lap. Beautiful. Now reach, inhale, arms up and overhead. And this time wrap the right arm across and give yourself this big hug, the hands coming to the shoulders. And you can let the elbows drop down into the chest. You can sort of let the chin fall down into the chest as well. And you might add this little sway side to side. You might fold over a little bit. You're just giving yourself a nice hug, getting a little bit of warmth and stretching starting to happen in the shoulders, backside, maybe all the way up and into the neck. And you can stay curled in, or maybe you sit up nice and tall. You might then draw your elbows out so they're the same height as the shoulders. So turn to the side so you can see that. And I'm really reaching the elbows out and away from the shoulder socket. And I'm drawing the elbows or the shoulders down a little bit down my back. So elbows draw away from the chest, height of the shoulders, draw the shoulders down the back. Another breath here. This will be plenty of stretch for some people. Some people will then start to bring their fingers to point up to the sky. You're starting to wrap the arms around each other. Maybe the palms press together. Maybe the forearms press. Maybe the wrists wrap. Maybe you're pressing the back of the hands into each other. You're still drawing the elbows up to the same height as the shoulders. Turn here so I can see you. Turn the elbows height of the shoulders. You can always decide that this is not the nicest option for you, and you can come back with the hands right on the shoulders. We'll take another breath here, getting a nice stretch in the shoulders. Breathe into the back of the lungs. Start to unravel the arms, bringing the hands to the shoulders, letting the elbows come down into the chest. Let the hands come back down into the lap. Great. We'll do that on the other side. Inhale, reach the arms up and overhead. And exhale, this time the left arm on top. Give yourself that wrap, that hug. Start by folding in, letting the elbows just rest anywhere on the chest, on the belly. Rolling a little side to side. Curling in. One more breath here. Press into the feet, sit up tall. Start to lift the elbows off the chest, draw them out and away, same height as the shoulders. Really use the hands to even help pull maybe the shoulders, the top of the arm bone, a little bit out of the socket. Give a little bit of a stretch there to all that connective tissue. You can stay right here. This could be lots of good stretching, and maybe each side is different, so you could try something else this side. The fingers could point up to the sky, pressing the forearms, the back of the hands together. Some people have a little bit of space to wrap the wrists, the fingers pressing into the palm of the other hand usually. So continue to draw the elbows away from the chest, height of the shoulders, maybe even bringing them up a little higher. The shoulders will probably want to creep up towards the ears. Can you draw them down? Maybe bring the hands a little further away from the face. Great. Couple breaths here. One more. Unwrap the hands or the wrists. Bring the hands back to the shoulders. Bring the elbows back into the chest. You can give yourself a little squeeze, a little hug on the shoulders and arms here. Let the hands come back into the lap. Inhale, reach the arms up. Exhale, hands go back out to the side. Just get really nice and big here. We'll do one more like that. Inhale, reach the fingers out as far as you can to either side, up and overhead. Exhale, back out to either side. Hands coming back down into the lap. Nice. Make sure you're nice and situated on your chair. We're going to go ahead and lift up the right leg. You can hold onto the front of the knee. These knees bend. You can give the ankle a roll to start in one direction then the other. Point and flex the foot. Nice. Give a little pulse of the knee up and into the chest, just really lightly here. And start to make circles with the knee in one direction. They can start out pretty small. Maybe you get a little bit bigger, letting the knee fall out to the side a little bit. Getting some mobility in the hip joint. And start to go the other direction. And start to make the circles a little smaller if they got bigger. Coming back to the center. Nice. And then you're going to bring the knee so it's in line with the hip. It's out in front of you. And it's about the same height as the hip. And you can use your opposite hand on the chair so you could take a little bit of that rounding out of the back. And then mostly keeping the knee where it is. And you check in just to make sure your knee's okay with this. Start to take your right foot out to the right side. So as you do that, you should feel some engagement up here into the outer hip on the right side, even up into the glute. And it probably won't go that far. And then take the foot in, my block out of the way. Take the foot now in and over towards the left. And the knee might come out a little bit, but you're trying to keep it roughly in line with the hip. And then do this external rotation. The heel coming out to the side probably won't go very far. You immediately might feel that muscle starting to fire up. We want to get familiar with that muscle out there. So we're making this little connection here. And then kick the foot in. Swing the foot out to the side. And then swing the foot across over towards the left. Great. And then come back to the center. Give yourself another little, just brief roll here. And then we'll place the right foot down. Go ahead and do the other, same on the other side, picking up the left knee. Just start by rolling out the ankle, one direction, then the other. Point and flex the foot. Maybe you spread the toes a little. Work on your yogi toes. The spreading of the toes can give you a little bit of extra balance, which we'll be working on today. And we're firing up this, start to make circles with your knee. We're firing up these muscles on the outside of the leg so that you make that mental connection and then you use them when we come to balancing poses. And you can try some of these balancing poses seated as well. I'll give you options for that. Make sure if you want to take the knee out a little bit wider, you're doing that. And then bring it around the other direction. You have the chair for support, the wall as well if you'd like. All right, great. Start to make your circles a little smaller on this side. The left knee coming back in line about with the hip. You can use your right hand on the chair to make sure that you're lifting the chest up still. I started to slump down a little bit there. And then start to keep the knee mostly where it is, the left hand on the front of the knee. Start to draw the foot out to the side. And you're really drawing the whole foot and the shin bone out. Go to that point where you feel that intensity starting to build on the outer left hip. And then swing it in. And this just kind of feels often more like a little bit of a stretch. Maybe you feel the glute firing up just a little bit here as you come in. And then take it out. Not causing any pain here, but definitely there'll be, this muscle sometimes feels a little intense because we often don't use it and need to work on building it up. So be careful, difference between pain and some intensity and strength building. All right, one more coming in and across towards the right foot. Come back to the center. Give any other little wiggles and adjustments you need here to the left side. And then place the foot down. And lean forward and find your block or books or whatever you're going to use it and place it so that you can stand on it with your right foot. We'll stay seated, but you're going to put your right foot up on it. And the ankle's still pretty much right underneath the knee. Kind of depends on how you prefer to have it out. And you're going to take your hands to the chair if that's okay. And again, push into the chair. You can be tented up on your fingers here so that you can really lift the chest. You can have a soft bend of the elbows and hug them back behind you. That can help to add a little spaciousness across the collarbone. And then all you're going to do is press as hard as you can the right foot into the block or whatever you're using. And that height can help make it easier to press. If you're not feeling it or you want to try it at a different height, you could change it, especially if you have a block. You can add or take out any books. But as soon as you start trying to press really firmly the right foot into the block, you're going to feel some of the muscles on the back of the right leg engaged, a little bit more on the hamstring side and the glute in the back. So we're getting familiar with these muscles too on the back side of the body. And all these muscles on the back side of the body can help to relieve pressure on the low back. So it's great to strengthen them and start to incorporate them. We worked on them last week. Nice. Another breath here, pushing the right foot firmly into the block, not letting go of that push. All right, soften the push. Kind of realize as you unclench some of those muscles, you sink down a little bit. And scoot your block over to the other side. Choose your height on this side. Tent up on the fingers, lift the chest. And then as you start to press down into the left foot, kind of lift up a little. Get a little bit more length. Press into the left foot, press the heel, press the big toe, even press the base of the pinky toe. Not the scrunching the toes themselves, but you're looking to press all along here, along the base of the toes, right above the ball of the foot. Pressing that ball of the foot area down into the block. Take one more big breath here. And then start to soften. Great. Bring both feet down to the ground. And we're going to try what we were doing last week. We're going to slowly stand up. We're going to try not to use momentum. And we're going to try to go very slowly hover. Try not to lean too far forward either. So you could use your hands down by the sides. If you want a little extra, you can bring the hands to the height of the shoulders. There's a little soft tilt forward, but you're not like leaning into your forward fold here. Find that point where you can press both feet down into the ground. You immediately feel those muscles we just worked firing up on the backside. Start to press a little more forward. Stick your butt back behind you a little bit more. And then slowly start to hover off the chair. Hover there for a moment. And then press into the heels. Start to lift up. Start to stand up. If you're preferring to stay seated today, totally fine. Do that. I'll give you some options along the way for how to change some of these poses that we're doing. So you can come to stand behind the chair. I'll turn my chair to the side so that you can see it. You're going to come into your downward facing dog type shape here with the chair. So if you know it, head right there. The hands are on the back of the chair. You're starting to walk your feet back behind you. You're finding a shape where it's a little bit of like an L shape or a V shape when we're standing. Your hips are about over the ankles and your hands are about the height of the shoulders or wherever it is on the back of the chair. Mine has a little bit of different heights, which is nice. And then you're starting to let your chest drop down. You're starting to get a little bit of a stretch here on the underside of the arms. You can start to let the head hang down a little bit in between the arms if that feels okay. On the neck, held down. Maybe you press into the feet. And you could even play here with a little bit of tilt and tuck of the pelvis. So it's going to be pretty small here in this type of shape, but you could try to round the low back. There'll be maybe even a soft bend of the knees. And then sit the seat back, widening the sit bones, tucking under, and then widening out. Great, and you could either stay right here in your down dog type shape. Some people will want to walk their hands down the back of the chair, maybe to the seat of the chair if they can find it from this angle, or hands might come down. And feet can be hip distance, they could be wider, they could be closer, there can be a bend of the knees. It often feels really nice this first time that you come into a forward fold to softly bend one knee and then the other. And I'm looking up over here at the camera, but you are letting the head start to fall down, the chin fall into the chest. Use the exhalations to help you soften in. Let gravity pull you down. 2 more breaths here. Last one. Press into the feet, start to walk the hands back up the seat of the chair, up the back of the chair, all the way up to standing. Great. Do a couple rounds of our standing sun salutations. If you're seated, you can be doing this the same way that we did before with our sun salutations seated. So find a nice stance in your mountain pose. In mountain pose, you can shift a little on the feet to make sure they're even left to right, forward and back. Let's actually do this. You can have the hands on the chair and let's lift the heels up. Get a little stretch for the ankles as well as a little balancing. So if you want to do this with the hands down by the sides, that's great. That's a lot of balancing. If you want to do our rising mountain, you inhale, lift the heels, lift the hands up and overhead. Especially if you're finding this balance with the hands lifting as you lower the heels down, you exhale. Inhale, lift the heels, lift the hands. Find somewhere to gaze, something that's not moving. This is your external focus point. That will help you have a little more balance. And the more you do this, a couple of rounds, you kind of start to build up that muscle memory and it gets a little less wobbly. Maybe you're challenging your balance though, which is great. Any little mental challenge or physical challenge is actually a really great mental exercise. It helps to build connections in the brain. Great. One more round like this. Maybe you teeter totter. Coming down, exhale. Great. Now we'll flow through. So inhale, reaching the arms up and overhead. Exhale, folding forward, walking the hands down this chair as much as you'd like. Inhale, you're pressing into the chair or the legs, lifting up halfway. Exhale, folding back in. Inhale, press into the feet. Come all the way back up to standing, either rolling or flat back, and arms come up and overhead. Exhale, we'll come right back down, just like we did before. Hands coming down the chair, folding forward. Inhale, lifting halfway. Exhale, folding forward. Inhale, press into the feet. Crawl your way, float your way all the way up to standing. Arms reach overhead. Exhale, we'll fold right back down. One more time like this. Rounding in. Inhale, halfway lift. Exhale, fold. Inhale, walking up. Arms reach up overhead when you get there. Exhale, arms by the sides. Wonderful. So now you're going to come to stand on this side of the chair. So we're mirroring each other. If you're seated in the chair, your right side of your chair. Okay. You're going to come to stand on the right side of your chair, and you're going to actually then face kind of the seat of the chair. So your head's pointing off across the chair, and find a stance so that your ankles are pretty much right underneath your hips. And then you could have a flat palm on the seat of the chair. Maybe you're tented up on the fingers, especially if the wrists are bothering you at all. We're going to do rounds of cat and cow here. And you could be doing this seated as well. So inhale, you're letting the belly soften. There could be a nice bend of the knees. The chest is coming forward. Exhale, you round the spine. Tuck the tail, the head's heavy. Inhale, open across the chest. Lift the seat up. Exhale, rounding in. So do that a couple more times right there on the seat of the chair. If you're doing this seated, you're just lifting the arms, maybe inhale and exhale, rounding in. Hands could even be on the front of the kneecaps. Inhale, open. It's our cow shape. Exhale, round in. Our cat shape. Inhale and exhale. Adding any other little side-to-side movement that you like, a little wag of your tail or a circular motion. We'll have 2 more rounds here. Okay, and then find that spot right in between. This is your neutral. The low belly is lifting a little bit away from the ground, but you're not super rounded. You have a nice steady spot where you can rest the hands. And you might wiggle the right foot if it's out pretty wide, so that the right ankle is really right underneath the hip as well from all directions. And you're going to start to place a little bit more weight into the right foot. And you're going to start to lift the left foot out to the side. And you could be doing this seated on the chair as well. And there's definitely some work here. I said the legs wrong. You're standing on your left foot. You're lifting your right foot to me. So your left foot, you're hugging the left side of the seat in. But really, I would rather you focus on this right leg, the hip lifting, and you're engaging the glutes here. So you're pressing the leg up and over. Beautiful. If this is what you're doing down here, seated, you could be seated right on the edge of the chair, kind of leaning over and lifting the right leg up and out to the side. Great. So you're going kind of at your own pace here. But I want you to do this with control. So maybe that means you really slow it down. We'll do another one on this side. Okay. And then feet come down to the ground. Go ahead and now stand so that you can place your left hand on the chair. That foot that you were just lifting, your right foot, go ahead and plant it firmly into the ground. And you probably feel a little bit of fatigue here on the outer hip and the glute. Focus on that. Hug the right hip up and in. So you can even play with this, bumping the hip out and hugging it in. You can take your hand there. It feels kind of helpful to do that. Do it one more time, bumping the hip out and then hugging it in. So you're squeezing the glute. You're squeezing some of these muscles on the outside of the leg. And then you're going to start to hover the left foot off the ground. So your left knee is coming up and in line with your chest again. And if you're doing this seated, all you do is you come to that same position before where we hugged the left knee up and into the chest. And you can, I lifted it without the hand, but please, if you want to grab on the front of the knee with the right hand, please do that. Okay, so hold on here. And then this ankle might be a little lazy. Can you press the foot down a little bit without moving it? So the toes start to point up a little bit towards the knee. It's like you were standing here. And then maybe as you're standing here, you got a little lazy in the hip. Draw the right hip up and in. Really start to engage the right glute even more. Start to engage maybe a little bit on the front of the right thigh. And then stay here or take a nice big inhale, get really tall. And exhale, start to turn towards the chair. Turn towards your lifted knee. You might start to bring the left shoulder a little bit back behind you. The right shoulder is heading over towards the left knee that's lifted in the air. Take a couple breaths here. If you're seated, this will look just like this. Just like you had the knee lifted and you're turning over to the side. Anyone who wants to experiment with starting to hover the left hand off the seat of the chair, great. You could take it back behind you. You could reach it overhead. Maybe you wrap it behind the back. Play with any variation of that hand. We're going to take 2 more breaths here. Inhale, press in to the right foot. Hug the right seat. Lift the chest. Exhale, turn. One more big breath. Inhale. Exhale, turn. Inhale, come back to center. And slowly lower the left foot back down on the ground. Oh, and give the legs a little kick, a little shake. Any little movements here, they're going to help you. And you're going to come around to the other side of the chair. So coming around to the other side of the chair, face across the seat of the chair. Take just a quick round of some of your cats and cows here. Ankles about underneath the hips in their width, as well as where they are front and back. Inhale, open the heart. Exhale, round up and in. Inhale, open. Exhale, round. And then when you're ready, firmly plant into the right foot. So the foot that's closest towards the back side of the chair. And then go ahead and lift up the left foot. And you're reaching it right out to the side. And any bend of the right knee that you need here, I really want you to find somewhere where the height of how you lift it feels like it's challenging the muscles right here on the outside of the hip and into the seat. So you might even stay up and do a little pulsing right in that zone of where you feel this. And make sure the shoulders are softening away from the ears. Lifting the foot up, really kicking the heel out to the side. Toes still pointing straight ahead. Beautiful. Okay, another round or two here. Sitting on the edge of the seat and lifting the left leg out to the side if you're doing that version. All right, one last one. All right, bring the foot back down. Come all the way up to standing. Stand beside the seat of the chair. Your right hand on the chair. Plant the left foot down. Do a couple of those bumps of the left hip out to the side. And using your hand on the hip to help encourage it back in. And so as you press the hand into the hip and the hip comes right over the ankle, you're also making sure you're pressing really firmly down into the left foot. So bump out to the side, come back in. One more time, bump out, draw in. And now with the hip drawing in, you can keep your hand right there. Start to hover the right foot off the ground. Start to draw the right knee up and into the chest. You can immediately at some point place the left hand on the front of the knee. All right, and then maybe the hip bumped out, so really draw the left hip back up and in. As you draw it in, you have some space to stand up a little taller, to open the chest. Great. Make sure that the foot is really engaged. You're still pretending like you're standing on something on the right foot. The toes drawing up and in just a little bit. Light press down. It's like the hand or the knees trying to escape the hand that's holding it up. Okay, take a big inhale, get a little taller, and exhale, start to turn over towards the right shoulder coming a little bit further back, the left shoulder trying to reach towards the knee. Great, inhale, and exhale, twist. And those who want to experiment can start to hover their hand off, making sure, most importantly, that you're not dumping the left hip and over to the side. You're hugging the left hip in. Your left glute is super engaged. You can't do that with the hand off the chair, then keep the hand on the chair. Any shape of the arm here. 2 more breaths. Inhale, press into the left foot, grow taller. Exhale, turn the right shoulder a little more back. Inhale, lift. Exhale, turn. Inhale, start to come back to the center. Ooh, definitely feeling some sensation. Start to bring the foot down. Oh, let's give the ankles a little bit of roll after some of this balancing. Plant your right foot down and take the toenail side of the right foot down on the ground a little bit behind you, or the toenail side of the left foot, and roll from the big toe side to the pinky toe side. Pause anywhere that feels like it's really good sensation. And as you lengthen the leg, it can feel really nice all the way up and into some of the muscles in the hip socket. Give yourself this roll. Bring the left foot back down. Plant the right foot. Take the toenail side of the right foot down on the ground, a little bit back behind you, and give it just a little roll on the tops of the foot to get in the front of the ankle. And plant both feet down and pick up your big toe side of the foot as much as you can. Just gets a stretch on the outside of the ankles and then stretch on the inside of the ankles, let the knees fall in towards each other, and roll a little bit side to side here. And you can stay right here on this side of the chair. We're gonna find our Garudasana. We did this eagle wrap. This is Garuda. Garuda means eagle. We're gonna find that with also the possibility of doing this with your legs. You can also come to seated for finding this shape. We're gonna start with the hand on the chair though and focus on the legs. So go ahead and shift some weight into your right foot. As you shift the weight into the right foot, draw your right hip away from the chair. Start to lift up the left knee. And then maybe you cross the foot over so it's on the ground, toes on the ground on the outside of the right leg. Some people have a little bit more space. Sometimes it helps to bend the right knee to wrap the legs even further around each other. And then maybe you have the left toes hovering off the ground and maybe the toes and the calves are pressing together. Some people can wrap their toes around, but that can be a lot on the knees and the hips. So it could be great here to just press the outside left leg and toes into the right leg. And you're really squeezing the inner thighs together here. That'll help to keep you upright. And you're squeezing the right glute to help you to stand up nice and tall. And this could be where you're at. Maybe you start to hover the hand off the chair. And if that's going well for you and you want to add it, then you can take the arms out to the height of the shoulders. And then you're going to go ahead and bring the left arm underneath. So you have the left leg on top and the left arm underneath. And then you can maybe either have that hold of the hands on the shoulders, or maybe you find that shape where you're pressing the forearms, the back of the hands together. You're trying to lift the elbows up to the height of the shoulders in either shape. Find somewhere steady to gaze. If you're doing this seated, it's just looking like the cross of the legs here with that wrap of the arms. Wonderful. Another breath here. Whew, a little smile every time you feel like you're going to totter over. Maybe a longer exhalation. All right. The hands are wrapped up around each other. Bring them back to the shoulders. Bring the elbows back to the chest. Hand to the chair as you slowly unravel the legs. Oh, and give everything a little shake. Maybe you take these circles of the hips like you're hula hooping in one direction and then the other. And you come back to standing. And then you're going to plant firmly into your left foot. You're going to pick your hand on the chair. Before you pick up the right foot, hug the left hip in. Stand up nice and tall. Maybe you just cross ankle over ankle. And be doing this seated as well. So now my right ankle is crossed in front of my left. Maybe I wrap the legs a little more, bend a little bit into the left knee. Maybe I press the calves together, squeeze the inner thighs. Maybe you find a little wrap of the toes behind the calf, but that's not necessary. Either stay here if you want to play with the balance, or if you're seated already. Start to take the hands out in front of you. Start to take the right arm underneath. And the elbows coming to height of shoulders, hands away from the face. And letting the wobbles be part of this experiment. I was going to say experience, but experiment is perfect too. And anytime you need to, you have this little kickstand of the right toes coming down to the ground, just like I'm doing. Ooh, the side's wobbling. I'm going to bring my hands back to the shoulders. Hug the left hip in. If you have a side where there's not as much strength, which is the case for this side for me, it's going to be more challenging. You just take deeper breaths. 2 more breaths here. If the hands are lifted up, bring the hands back to the shoulders, elbows into the chest. Find some help with hand on the chair and slowly unravel the legs. Give them a nice good kick and shake out. One and then the other. Beautiful. All right. We'll do one more thing standing just to give the legs a little bit more of a stretch here before we make our way. Come to stand behind your chair and take the feet out pretty wide. So feet are coming out wide, about as wide as the wrist right over the ankle. And we're going to find our warrior 2, Virabhadrasana 2. Right toes out to the right. And then pick up your left heel and spin it back behind you. So the left toes are pointing in almost the same direction as the right toes, but angled. And start to bend into the right knee. And you're probably going to have this, move the chair for a moment. You're going to probably have this tendency to dump a lot of weight into the right hip crease. And the right hip will be lower than the left. So here's my little gauges. And then if I press into the right heel, I can tilt the pelvis. So my right hand comes more in line with my left. Great. And then maybe you can spin the chest a little bit more to face the back of the chair. Maybe you take the arms out long and gaze over right fingertips. Press back through the left outer heel. Another breath here. Try to draw the right knee out toward the pinky side of right foot. If you feel like you want even more stretch, you just kind of wiggle the right foot a little bit further. All right, and then if you can stay here. If you want to flow a little bit, this can feel really nice to move and also get a little moving meditation. So exhale, lower down, bend the knee. Inhale, lengthen the right leg, reaching the hands up and overhead. If you've come to class before, you've probably done this. It's flowing warrior 2. Inhale, sweeping up, gaze goes up. And you go at your own pace here, maybe a little faster, a little slower, pausing in either shape that you need to. Still nice and strong in the legs. A little lubrication with this movement. All right, next time you're reaching with the right leg long, the hands reaching up and overhead. Stay up there for another breath. Really reach the fingers up. It's okay if the shoulders come up a little to the ears. You want to find a really nice tall spine. Lots of distance between the vertebrae. And then start to soften down. Hands come to the chair as you spin the toes back through center. And then you set up right away for the other side. So the left toes go out to the left. The right heel lifts. You check the distance between your feet, this nice wide stance. And you bend into the left knee. You check your tilt of the hips. You try to bring the left hip up and out of the hip socket by pressing into the left heel. Take the right knee. You can use your hand lightly, but maybe use the strength of that glute, those muscles we've been working, to take the right knee over, or the left knee over towards the left pinky toe. You can turn the ribs a little closer towards the center. Maybe the hands go out nice and long. Couple breaths here. Try to lift the right arch. And then you can choose to stay right here or turn this into your flow. Inhale, palms flip up, lengthen the leg, reach the hands up overhead. Exhale, sink down. Still try not to drop into the left hip socket. Inhale, reach up. Exhale, coming down, really pressing into the left heel the entire time. Inhale, reach up. Exhale, float. Couple more on your own. Next time you're reaching up overhead, lengthen both legs, reach the hands up. Find lots of space. Try to lift the rib cage away from the pelvis. Reach up, reach up, reach up. Nice, big, tall spine. And then slowly soften. We're going to find a wide-legged forward fold. So the toes now point both out and ahead towards the chair, a little bit in towards each other. It might be like the second toes parallel to each other. And you might take the chair out a little bit further. Some people will want to just stack the hands on the chair, rest the forehead on the hands. Some people will want to come a little deeper. Walk my feet back so I have a little more space. Maybe you walk the hands down the seat of the chair. Maybe you have the hands all the way down to the ground. Maybe you find whatever was your block and that comes underneath the hands. I'll turn so you can see, and I'm not playing peekaboo, but whatever you're doing, you don't need to be looking at me. If you know that this feels like a really good stretch for you, then just stay right where you are. Don't try to crane your neck and see what I'm doing. You want your chin to start to tuck into your chest. You want the back of the neck to start to really lengthen. Make sure the weight is even from the heels to the base of the ball of the foot. Shift a little bit weight side to side, a little wag of the hips. Maybe a soft bend of the knees. Maybe a big breath out. 2 more breaths here. Whatever this shape might look like for you. If you're seated, it can just be the legs nice and wide, folding over the legs. I didn't show the variation of Warrior 2 on the chair, but I hope you were able to find after a couple weeks maybe of this type of practice. That shape seated. And let's go back and watch any of these other videos. Heel toe the feet in a little closer, bend of the knees, walking the hands up the chair, maybe walking up to the top of the chair, bend of the knees, pressing your way up, coming up nice and tall, and we'll come back down to sit. We're going to stand in front of the chair and we're going to try to lower nice and slow. So you're going to come in front. Make sure you're at a distance where you will know the chair will be behind you. And if you want to reach the arms out and over in front of you, same height as the shoulders. Feet can be a nice hips distance apart or whatever feels good for you. Start to sit your seat back. And this is called chair pose in yoga, where we pretend like we're sitting in our chairs. We're going to start to reach my fingers and my hips further away from each other. Eventually, I might do a quick little check to make sure I'm going to hit the chair. Sit all the way back down, hands coming into the lap. Let's give The outer hips and the glutes, a little bit of a stretch here. So go ahead and hug your right knee up and into the chest. Right away, cross your ankle over the thigh, our figure four stretch. You use the right hand on the thigh to help encourage it out. Fingertips on the chair to lift the belly towards the legs, a little bit of arch from the back. That'll help accentuate the stretch. And stay right here. Maybe you've already gone there. You start to fold over the legs. Maybe the forearms come to the legs to help encourage them out. Maybe you start to drape the arms over the front of the legs, letting the hands come down to the ground, the chin coming into the chest. Taking a couple really long deep breaths here. And if you're folding pretty deeply and the belly is making contact with the legs, take a really big belly breath. And you'll notice as the belly tries to fill up, you'll actually find expansion on the low back. Because the breath and the air doesn't have anywhere else to go, so you might get a little extra nice juicy stretch on the low back. Couple more breaths here. If the fingers are draping down towards the ground, bring the hands back to the legs. Use the hands to help you bring the torso slowly upright. A moment there, sitting up nice and tall. Maybe the eyes have started to soften or even close. When you're ready, bring the right knee back up to center and the foot back down the ground. Shift the weight over, hug the left knee up and in. Cross the left ankle over the thigh. Press this knee out to the side. Make sure that the ankle is happy and pretty loose here. You could do a nice little roll. Lift the chest towards the legs, open the heart. This can be lots of nice, good stretch. Maybe the forearms and the hands come to the legs, folding over. Maybe draping over the legs even further. And even if the belly is not resting on something so that there's that constriction that can give you that expansion on the back, breathing into the belly here is really soothing for the nervous system. The soothing nervous system is called the rest and digest nervous system. So it makes sense that you breathe into the belly and you can help to turn it on. So take some big breaths into the belly. Really try to fill up. Try to not grip the outer right hip and the glute. Let it relax into the stretch. One more breath here. Walking the hands back up to the lap. Pressing the hands into the legs to help you come all the way up to sit. Draw the knee back into the chest, the foot down on the ground. Give the knees a little wash side to side. Just a really gentle movement, not using the muscles to help them do this. A little bit of momentum. It's almost like if they're really loose, you could just have the fingers lightly touching, letting them swing in and out. And slowly start to bring the feet back into center. Make sure you can sit up nice and tall. And get a little bit of stretch for the neck. You can bring your hands to the hips, the fingers pointing down. And some people will have space to place their whole palm of the hand right on their seat, like they were sliding their hands into little pockets there. For other people, it's going to be the hands a little bit more on the outside of the hips. Wherever you are, there's that little soft bend of the elbows starting to draw back behind you. And then drop the chin into the chest once you've found that placement of the hands. And then start to draw the shoulders down the back, the elbows maybe a little closer together. Just by this little action of the arms trying to come behind the back, you might feel a nice, good stretch in the back of the neck. You could be closing the eyes here. And maybe you start to let the right ear fall towards the right shoulder. The face and the eyes might start to point out in front of you now. So continuing to softly bend the elbows, draw them in towards each other. Now the stretch is probably migrated over to the left top of the shoulder, the outside of the left neck. Couple breaths there. Continue to draw, especially the left elbow down and away from the ear. Get even more stretch. The eyes are looking out ahead of you. Start to bring the gaze down towards the ground. Start to roll the left ear towards the left shoulder. Maybe once you get in that direction, you could lift the gaze out and away. Softening the right elbow down towards the ground, the shoulder rolling down the back. Nice stretch in the right side of the neck, the right back. Couple breaths here. Slowly. The nose starts to point down to the ground. Chin rolls back into the center of the chest. Soften the elbows out to the sides. Start to let the hands come back into the lap. And take a hand or even the heel of the hand to the middle of the forehead to help the head come up so that you don't do a lot of work after doing all that stretching. And then the eyes can close. You might bring your hands to heart center, one on top of the other, maybe palms pressed together. And in this really tall upright seat, still and aware. Notice how you feel. Maybe a deep breath in and out. Checking back in. Notice where in the body you feel a little more stretched out, maybe a little bit of like a tingling or just more energy, more awareness, more strength. Notice if there's any shifts in your thoughts or emotions. We'll take one of those really big clearing breaths together. Big inhale through the nose. Big fill up and then big exhale. Empty the belly, empty the chest and the lungs. Bowing your head into your hands and thanking yourself and thanking everyone else who may have done this practice. Thank each other for taking this time to move, to breathe, and to connect. Know that many of us are doing this together. I thank you so much for joining. When you're ready, you can lift the head, let the hands relax, and slowly open the eyes. A little smile, a little sigh, any other wiggles, and I hope you have a wonderful rest of your day. Again, I'm Emily. Let me know if you need anything. Be well.